So we haven't seen it for quite a while, any kind of optimism. It's been pretty unrelentingly miserable and grim. Costs, that's the biggest challenge. The costs of doing business have skyrocketed. Inflationary pressures.
If it goes wrong, you've probably lost that customer. Hello, Chris Worden. I'm at the Director First podcast yet again with another of one of our esteemed guests. Today, I'm joined by Ed Bedlington. Ed is the editor of the Morning Advertiser that's been going for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's the #1 trade magazine for pubs and hospitality. Ed, you've only been there about 80 years, is that right?
That's about right, yes. I was going to say, I haven't been there hundreds of years. I just had a very tough paper round.
Me too, pal. Me too. I'm only 25. He's also the host of the Lock-In podcast, which I've had the pleasure to join a couple of times over the years. And the reason why I'm bringing Ed onto the podcast today is one of the #1 sources of inquiries that I get week on week, and it's been the same for the probably the last few years, is from the hospitality sector, pubs, nightclubs, hotels, restaurants, bars. And what I want to do is just have a little natter today with Ed. There's nobody better placed to discuss what's happening on with the coalface. And so we'll talk about a few of the problems that people are facing and maybe some solutions that they can use to sort of get a little bit of breathing space. So, Ed, thank you for making the time to come on the podcast today, mate.
No problem.
So, Ed, how are you seeing things right now for your industry?
It's challenging. I think we are seeing a degree of optimism starting to return to the market. I would describe that as probably cautious optimism. I think we're seeing it's a really mixed picture. I think it is varying from business to business. There's no sort of everyone's in the same boat. We're seeing such variety. There's people out there that are potentially flying, and there's people out there that are really struggling. And it's very much down to their own individual circumstances, based on where they were when they had to sign an energy contract, when they signed that contract, how much debt they took on during the pandemic, and how they've been caught with interest rates and all this kind of thing. So it's a really mixed sort of picture, and very much an individual one for each business. But we are seeing a little bit of optimism coming back into the market, which is something we haven't seen for quite a while. Sorry,
Ed, I missed that last bit.
So we haven't seen it for quite a while, any kind of optimism. It's been pretty unrelentingly miserable and grim, with people sort of lurching from challenge to challenge. So to have the signs of regeneration, growth, opportunity coming back is good to see.
Brilliant. I mean, let's have a look at some of those challenges. 2020, I mean, even before 2020, the industry was on a knife edge. It was getting hard out there. 2020 comes along. They're the first industry to be locked down. Arguable that the last one to recover. I know we had a few of those short bursts where we were getting paid to eat out. Get back a few months, things start to settle down. Bang, energy prices go through the roof. Cost of food going through the roof. Cost of beer going through the roof. Staff not wanting to come to work. Those that want to come work, they wanted more money. And then we get the government coming in saying there's a recession, and it's news like that breeds people to go, oh bloody hell! Instead of going out once a week on a Friday, I'm going to go out once every couple of weeks. Is there anything else that I've missed there?
I think costs, that's the biggest challenge. The costs of doing business have skyrocketed. The inflationary pressures that have been running for quite a while, and part of that is that inflation. Part of it is weather conditions increasing the cost of production of raw materials, of food, fresh produce, all that kind of thing has gone through the roof. And everything has gone up as a result. Insurance rates have gone up, interest rates, everything has taken. It's been almost a perfect storm. I think the pandemic sort of started the ball rolling. And as you said quite succinctly, you've got the fact that the industry was, hit first, hit hardest, lasted longer. And since then, and there was great support initially from government in terms of offering grants, helping out businesses, things like that. But as it went on, that support tailed off. And then we came out of COVID and industry breathed a sigh of relief, thought, right, let's get back into it. Let's get on with it. Rail strikes hit, utility crisis hits. I mean, we've had rail strikes for the last, it must be getting on for almost 2 years now. And it's absolutely crippling for some businesses in the industry. If you're a city centre operator and in London or Birmingham, Manchester, the trains are screwed. You're screwed. It's caused huge amounts of problems. So it's felt like a bit of a conveyor belt of misery for any operator. You're kind of wondering what you've done to deserve it. It's and it doesn't. Yeah, it just seems to have been that sort of avalanche of challenges. So yeah, there's so many out there. It's quite depressing when you talk about it.
Well, listen, I want to turn the sort of tone of the conversation, and because I'm starting to see people that we say supported 6, 12, 18 months ago, and what a lot of clients that I've had in the hospitality industry, they've come to me and their issues have been C-bills and bounce back loan becoming unaffordable, HMRC, who basically said, listen, don't pay us, don't worry, you take it easy. 6 months ago, something changed and the revenue started banging on people's doors again. And it's hard in the hospitality industry to hide from the HMRC. I'd never advocate hiding from the HMRC, but if you're a builder or you're out in the field a lot doing jobs, the problem with the hospitality is HMRC can turn up. They can turn up and they can start to take bloody goods away. And I've seen it the same with energy suppliers. There was a lot of breathing space. I had it last week at a restaurant that we've been talking to tentatively. Bloody U Energy have come in and basically taken the meter. So it's we've seen all that type of carry on. And the advice to people was either, listen, with the revenue, especially in your industry, you've got to try and negotiate with them. Because if they force you into an insolvency, guess what? They're going to get bugger all. Because generally, when you're in hospitality, there's very little assets in the business, tables, chairs, kitchen equipment. It holds very, very little value. So you've got more power with HMRC than you think. The key thing is to say to them, listen, I can't pay it all now. Try and negotiate that time to pay arrangement over 1 year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years. And it's the same with, whether it's a food supplier, whether it's an energy supplier, the key is communication. Some businesses, the best way for them to recover from COVID was to start again. So what they did is they put a business into what we call a pre-pack liquidation. They liquidate the trading company, assuming that the brewery would support new company. And in most cases, as long as it's a good tenant, they're paying the rent on time, they'll be able to either assign the lease or get a new lease. They take generally the suppliers over, with the most pubs don't want to not pay suppliers, which, you've got to preserve them relationships where you can. And they liquidate, in HMRC, bounce back loan and C-bills, but they get a fresh start. And I was checking with people sort of 6 months, 9 months, 12 months after, they go through the dreaded liquidation. And bear with me, that's my coffee machine turning off. And a lot of people that I've spoken to say, listen, Chris, we're starting to see some improvement. I mean, let's hope that England actually win the bloody Euros this year and the pubs are absolutely full. And that sort of prompted me to get in touch with you, Ed. Is there any sort of tips that you could give an operator now? Because like I say, you've been in the game a long time. You speak to a lot of people. Are there any nuggets you can pass to me and to people that are going to be watching this podcast about what to do now?
No. Sorry, Chris, couldn't resist. And you took a mouthful at the perfect time. I think, yeah, it's there's no, let's be honest, there's no silver bullet. There's no simple thing that you can just go, you know what, do this and all your problems will be over. You know, it's hard slog. There's going to be a lot of things you've got to work really hard, and you're going to be running potentially faster to stand still, you know, with costs increasing, things like that. I mean, that sounds relentingly negative, but I don't mean to. I think there's a little bit of, you know, hold fast, hold tight, stay the course, you know, keep plugging away, keep doing what you're doing, making sure that you're providing the best possible thing you can do. And we're starting to see those glimmers of light on the horizon. You know, if we can see utilities dropping back down, because for a lot of people, actually, the reality is you've got fantastic footfall, great trade, people are coming in, they're spending money, but you're not making anything out of it because the utilities are stealing the profits from your till. That's the challenge for a lot of guys. So, you know, you've got to be providing a great experience. That's the key thing. Excuse me, for every operator right now. Experience is key. Great service, great standards, giving people a reason to come out. People are coming out less often. Make sure that they're coming to you when they do, and spending as much as you can get them to spend while they're there. You know, and it's not the days of opening your doors and they will come, have gone. That's no longer the thing. It's got to be, give them a reason to come. Give them, whether that's events, whether that's the best food offer, the best drinks offer, the best service, all of those things that a lot of people are doing anyway, but you've just got to keep it going up and up and up. And it's hard. It's not easy.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed speaking to, you know, people in the hospitality sector is if they can keep going, you know, it does seem like the playing fields are getting cleared a little bit. Those operators that have, you know, standards have dropped. People just, you're right, if they're going out for one meal, they want to, if you go out there, you've got one opportunity with that customer, haven't you? If it goes wrong, you've probably lost that customer. Now, in sort of certainly in the smaller towns, I'm not sure whether it's the same in London and Manchester, but we're getting a lot of operators clearing out. So there's less places to go out there to actually, you know, have that pint, have that food. And if they can go through you know, first thing I say to people is go through your profit and loss, go through absolutely every single line, and where can you make a saving? You know, can you go back? I was speaking to quite a large operator who's with one brewery, actually owns a lot of his sites, and in his last last 3 months, last quarter's management information, he says, I've not made any money, and he says, and I own all the sites. He says, I can't imagine what it's going to be like for someone who's leasing. So what he's done is he's gone back to, for the first time, he's considering leaving a brewery he's been with for a considerable amount of time. So I think there are deals out there, aren't there, Ed? There are breweries out there that are cutting costs to win people's business. And this is a big thing for him. You know, it means it's taking out all the pumps, putting new pumps in, taking out delivery. Obviously, he's got to find out whether the punters will accept this over that. But maybe it's time to go out there and perhaps negotiate a better deal for your place.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be opportunities, yeah, I mean, everyone's under pressure. Breweries are going to have to work harder to retain that free trade 100%. I think problem is if you're tied and at least a tenanted operator and you're tied to a brewery, you haven't really got any choice. It's you kind of got to suck it up really, and they're being pretty ruthless with people because their businesses are under pressure as well. So you know everyone's got to increase their charges and their prices. So, but there's opportunity, like anything really right now. You know, there's where other businesses are struggling. There's opportunities for others to step in. We're seeing people expanding at others' expense. We're seeing people expanding outside of that. I mean, one of the great success stories of the hospitality industry is lounges with their huge growth. What is it? I think they're opening a new site every 10 days, which is astonishing. But they're the exception, possibly, in that you're seeing others that are struggling, particularly in the late night sector. That's a really tough market at the moment. That's been absolutely decimated by very changing consumer behaviour, and younger people's behaviours change. Less drinking, people going out earlier, finishing earlier. We're not seeing people staying out to the wee small hours anymore. So that's a real challenge. But there's opportunity. I think, like I said, it's that experience led element is key. We're seeing huge growth in that competitive socializing sector, whether that's from throwing axes to shuffleboards and things like this, and the more sort of clever operators and tech savvy, and sort of look at Flight Club and some of these things that are sort of reinventing the concept of darts and making it appeal to a new generation. So those are all growing the right way. You look at Albert Schloss, that is an absolute powerhouse of a brand. They're about to open down in London. That'll be their first London site. They absolutely cornered the market in Manchester and Liverpool and Birmingham. The sites are flying. So their focus is, great experience, great entertainment, and they spend a lot on that, but they get those returns as a result. So people will go out, and they will go out and stay later in Albert Schloss because they've got that opportunity to enjoy themselves. So it's there's opportunity. There's definitely opportunity, and there'll be opportunity for those looking to expand and pick up some of the sites that have fallen by the wayside as well.
And obviously, we're talking about really big brands here as well that obviously have they have the right backing. They've got they've got the money to grow, haven't they? And I sometimes feel that in hospitality, that's there's a lot of people certainly that I'll speak to, sort of many of your readers as well, is that they don't have that financial backing, do they? That they haven't got that investment to sort of grow. But what type of lessons can the smaller operator take from the big boys that they can actually perhaps go away and start to implement?
Oh, yeah, that's a really tough one. I mean, you're right that the problem within the sector is that it's such a broad sector as well. You can't really sort of say there's a commonality, because you've got different styles of operations, different scale of operations, but there's a large percentage of, if you look at traditional pubs and that sector, it's a large percentage of husband and wife, kind of from the house back of house kind of thing, taking on the pub. It's a relatively low cost entry. Some of the models in there, whether that's through the more traditional sort of tied tenants, or into this newer sort of franchise self-managed model. So it's a lower cost entry. It's easy to get into, but these people don't have reserves. They don't have deep pockets, really. Quite often it's sort of a bit of borrowed money to get them the deposit, and off they go, and then they hope to trade and build it up. And there's also a sector that tends to live a bit hand to mouth, even amongst the more sophisticated operators. People sail close to the wind, I would say, on the finances front. What can they learn from the bigger operators? I don't know. I mean, it's operationally, you can pick things up. You can look at the trends. You can see the kind of where some of these guys are going. But equally, the bigger operators can learn things from the smaller ones as well. We host conferences, and you could always put up an individual operator that's doing something amazingly innovative, because actually, I remember Ian Payne, the chairman of Stonegate, used to say, the place that's the most innovative and entrepreneur and all the rest of it is the tenants in the lease sector. Those individual entrepreneurs that are coming in. I had a brilliant one the other day. He's running a business in Wales. He's actually making money out of TikTok. He's got such a scale of followers from very simple, straightforward little videos that he does that they're actually paying him now to do it. So he's got a revenue stream which no one really would have considered. Everyone sort of thinks, oh, influencers and blah, it's a load of nonsense, all the rest of it. I mean, this guy's he's earning a nice little income from making videos for TikTok. So with little cost to himself other than his time and effort, and that's a whole new revenue stream into the pub. And it also helps to support the pub, brings people in, because then people are coming because they want to come and see the place where the videos are done. They want to be in the videos. They're coming. They're spending money in the pub. So it's a virtuous circle of support for his business.
I want to jump in on that, Ed. You know, social media for me. I mean, I don't know if you're on TikTok, but we are. Like literally, we started doing TikTok a few years ago. We started to take it a bit more seriously recently because people engage. People give us inquiries from TikTok. We do Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and all that is it's my time and a bit of editing. Now, I think any small business, right, that is not utilizing social media right now are making a mistake. And the reason why TikTok's good right now is because TikTok's a new platform. They want users. They'll push your content out. I mean, I remember a few years ago, Facebook was fabulous for us. We did really, really well. Overnight, nobody watched the videos. I mean, it was either the algorithm or they just got fed up with this bold chat with spouting on about insolvency and other types of bollocks. But you notice with different platforms, they'll when they want the users, they'll push your content out there, but TikTok right now, it seems to be where it's at, and it's simple to do. People get so worried about, oh God, what am I going to say? I like seeing what other businesses are doing on social media, and not just say me, post of a bit of food, post of a pint. I think the operators, they can use social media to sort of be authentic, be who they are. Some people are going to like you, some people aren't going to like you, but there's a massive gap in the market there for just getting your phone out and doing it and seeing what happens, because people they don't understand how important marketing is. Like you say, it's what did Peter Kay said? He built build the phoenix and they will come. That's nonsense. If you've got a good offering, right? Like if you've got a good offering, you need to get the people in to taste it, to taste the drink, to do the food, and that's down to marketing, isn't it? And like. I like it when I go to hospitality business, and just bear with me, I've got a sensor in this bloody room and light goes off. I like getting closed on doing a TripAdvisor review. Like literally, I was at a restaurant the other week and the woman said, Chris, are you happy with what I've done? I'm like, yeah, I am. She goes, listen, it would really help me if you'd be willing to do this. She didn't push me. She gave me a card with a key. And do you know what? I did it because I thought, you know what? I push people for Trustpilot reviews if they've had a good experience. It's like, listen, it really helps me. I get loads of work from Trustpilot now. And it's these little things that they're easy to do. They're easy not to do as well, aren't they? And getting the whole... And this pub, this independent pub, they have like some type of competition between all the staff at the end of the month. And I like the girl, the service was great. The food was just okay. It wasn't like blow my brains off, but she did enough for me to put that TripAdvisor review on there. So,
well, it's interesting. We just did our last podcast for this series, and we focused on service, and the overriding takeaway from that episode is basically, you can serve, you can make mistakes, your food can be maybe not the best, you can balls things up left, right, and center, but if your service is excellent, and the people look after you and they look after you so well, you'll overlook a lot of sins. It's
right.
service is absolutely key. But yeah, coming back to that social media element, it is vital. It is key, and some operators embrace it, some don't. It's amazing to me how we're behind the curve on a tech front in the pub sector, particularly. Maybe the hospitality sector as a whole, but particularly in pubs. We have operators that don't even have a website, which in this day and age is startling. But a lot of them have embraced social, they've embraced Facebook, things like that. But TikTok is something that we see more and more attention being focused on. I think the idea of people tend to dismiss it as, oh, it's just for the kids. But people are getting traction. We did an event a while ago. One of our operators went away and did a little bit of a trial on TikTok and got someone driving 200 miles to come and try their chicken burgers. So you can get traction, you can get pull with these things. But like you say, you've got to be innovative, you've got to be clever. You can't just be doing what everyone else is doing. You've got to give yourself some kind of cut through, some kind of USP to stand out. Like I mentioned, this guy is actually getting paid to do it. He's doing little pub quizzes, and he's got customers coming in, and they've got little. It's a very simple mechanism, but it's clever and it works. And it's thinking outside the box. It's thinking about bringing some of the fun you bring to the experience in the pub. What do you do that makes you stand out as a business, and how can you capture that and distill that in social that is going to give people a little bit of a taste of that and make them want to come to your business and make them want to share it and broaden your messages and improve that marketing, because it is marketing, and at the moment it's a free marketing, and potentially if you're like this guy, you can make money out of it, which is amazing. They're paying you for you to market your own business, which is
it's
brilliant.
The holy grail, isn't it? Do you know what though? You said something there, and I'm going to come in at a slightly different angle, because people think about, I've got no content ideas, I don't know what to do. Now, I would suggest also, right, if you haven't got a bloody clue what to do, have a look at someone who's doing well and getting traction and do what they're doing. Because there are some firms in insolvency that copy what I do. God bless them, you know what I mean? And it's really, really nice to see, because they're just doing the best, you know what I mean? And the more people that come into my space trying to make a really complex subject a bit easier to understand for the everyman on the street, the better. But that's it. I mean, if someone's doing something right, try it. Just it's better than doing nothing. I mean, every idea is nicked from somewhere, isn't it, Ed?
New ideas.
An original idea is long gone now. Just do something.
It's interesting because I always refer to the pub industry. We're a bit of a magpie industry. We're always nicking ideas on each other. Some get very prickly about it, and some are very happy to share. And actually, the reality is that's what I love about this sector. People are so helpful to competitors, to pubs in the same street. If somebody runs out of beer, they'll send them a barrel, or they'll send us some staff if they're short staffed. It's that sort of cooperative environment is great. And there are new ideas. We host events with the express intention of going, look what these guys are doing, isn't it great? Why don't you do it? It is that kind of thing of encouraging those that sharing of insight and information. And I mean, it's people nick it. What's it? Imitation's the most sincere form of flattery. So you're doing something right if other people are coming around and poaching your ideas. Frustrating though that might be sometimes, you're hitting the right notes, so it's not a bad thing.
Listen, Ed, I'm going to wrap up now, mate. It's been really, really good for you to join us. If anybody wants to find out a bit more about Ed Bedlington, what he does and what you're involved in, where would we direct him, buddy?
If you go to the Morley Advertisers website, so that's www morningadvertiser.co.uk. You can see what we do. We cover everything going on in the sector. If you want a bit of fun, look up the Lock-In podcast. We get operators on alongside the Sweary Kiwi, and have a bit of fun and talk about everything from pub ghosts to customer service. It's all good fun.
Ed, thanks for your time today. Once again, I wish you all the best, my friend. God bless you, mate.
No problem.